Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at what might literally be the ultimate metabolic heavyweight matchup of our time. On one side, we've got the reigning champ, Mounjaro, which has completely flipped the script on weight loss and diabetes, and on the other, the highly anticipated experimental challenger that has the entire medical world buzzing, Retatutride. So, which one really wins out based on the clinical data? We're going to break it all down for you. Before we dive in, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button and like this explainer so we can keep bringing you these deep dives. Oh, and by the way, if you want to truly master this topic, I've actually put together a complete guide on peptides. It's an awesome, comprehensive workbook. It's just $19.90, and the link to grab it is right down in the description. Check it out. All right, let's get into it. Now, right off the bat, we need to be crystal clear about something. This explainer is strictly informative. We're looking closely at data from clinical articles, trials, and systematic reviews. This is absolutely not medical advice. You should never seek out or use any of these treatments without consulting your physician first. Our goal today is just to help you understand the fascinating science behind these medications. Okay, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the weight loss revolution. Second, understanding Mounjaro. Third, Retatutride, the triple agonist. Fourth, Retatutride versus Mounjaro. Fifth, side effects and safety. And finally, FDA status and the future. Let's start with Section 1, the weight loss revolution, a shift in treatment. So to really get this, we need a little context on how modern pharmacology has just totally revolutionized how we treat obesity and type 2 diabetes. For decades, the standard advice was strictly diet, exercise, and changing your behavioral habits. And while that's totally fundamental, the clinical literature confirms that for a lot of people, especially those dealing with moderate to severe obesity, these traditional interventions just aren't enough for sustainable weight loss. That's where incretin-based therapies come in. Things like GLP-1 agonists. They are a total game changer because they actually complement those traditional methods. They work by consoling your appetite, delaying how fast your stomach empties, and improving your glycemic control. It's a massive shift, right? We're going from just telling a patient to eat less to actually modulating the metabolic and neurological pathways that drive that appetite in the first place.
Moving on to Section 2, understanding Mounjaro, the dual agonist.
Now, building on that foundation, let's look at Eli Lilly's massive commercial success story, Mounjaro, or you might know it by its active ingredient, Tirzepatide. Mounjaro is so cool because it perfectly illustrates the leap from single-receptor drugs to a multi-receptor approach. It's a dual-action drug. So it doesn't just target the GLP-1 receptors, it also hits the GIP receptors. By tag-teaming both of these, Tirzepatide doesn't just help control appetite, it significantly improves how your body responds to food and manages energy overall. It creates a much stronger effect than targeting GLP-1 all by itself. And the results of this dual-action approach? They are honestly mind-blowing. In the SURMOUNT-1 clinical trial, participants taking Tirzepatide lost between 16% and 22.5% of their body weight, depending on their dose. Just think about that for a second. 22.5%? That number absolutely shattered expectations and raised the bar for what the medical community thought was even possible with medication-assisted weight loss. It really cemented Mounjaro as an absolute titan in metabolic therapy. But as we know, science never sleeps. That brings us to Section 3, Retatutride, the triple agonist. All right, let's talk about the challenger. Retatutride, also known in the research world as LY3437943, is an investigational synthetic peptide drug. Structurally speaking, it's a single peptide coupled with a fatty diacid moiety. Now, without getting too bogged down in the chemistry, that specific acylation is important because it gives the drug an approximate 6-day half-life. That means it can be administered just once a week, which is super convenient. But honestly, it's not the structure that has researchers so hyped up. It's what it actually does once it's inside the body. Retatutride introduces an entirely new mechanism of action. Remember how Mounjaro targeted 2 receptors? Well, Retatutride targets GLP-1 and GIP, but then it adds a third target, the glucagon receptor. This is what researchers are calling the power of 3. And this is absolutely crucial. By adding that glucagon receptor agonism into the mix, Retatutride doesn't just reduce your appetite, it actively targets energy consumption. It kicks off this whole cascade of signaling pathways that elevate intracellular activity. Basically, it creates this incredible multi-angle attack on obesity. And it gets better because this translates into some massive, broader therapeutic potential. Retatutride goes way beyond just appetite control. The clinical trials are showing us that this triple action leads to profound physiological improvements across a bunch of different organs. We're talking about enhancing insulin secretion in the pancreas, modulating how the liver produces glucose, and even specifically targeting non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So it's not just about eating less, it's really a holistic strategy for your overall metabolic health.
Which brings us to the main event. Section 4, Retatutride versus Mounjaro, the head-to-head.
So comparing these two titans, we have a pretty clear contrast. On one hand, Mounjaro is a dual agonist. It's fully FDA approved for certain indications, and it's got this established, proven track record of commercial availability and success. It's out there right now helping people. On the other hand, Retatutride is that next-generation triple agonist. It's been engineered with a highly potent interaction with the GIP receptor in humans, perfectly supported by GLP-1 and glucagon activation. But, and this is a big but, it is currently investigational. The early research is undeniably impressive, but it is still running its course through that very rigorous scientific and regulatory process. Which naturally leads us to ask, what's the catch? Section 5. Side effects and safety. Whenever we talk about these treatments, we have to look objectively at safety. The side effects for Retatutride are actually pretty consistent with what we see in the wider class of incretin-based therapies. As you might expect, the most commonly reported adverse events are gastrointestinal. We're talking nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and constipation. Now, these are dose-dependent, meaning they definitely tend to increase at higher doses. And while severe adverse events are thankfully infrequent, these mild to moderate symptoms are just a reality for many patients, usually popping up during that initial dose escalation phase. And here is a number you really need to pay attention to. In certain clinical cohorts, 16% of subjects actually discontinued their Retatutride treatment when they were put in the highest 12 milligram initial dose group, specifically because of those adverse events. That 16% really highlights exactly why clinical monitoring and a very gradual dose escalation are absolutely critical. Finding that perfect balance between achieving maximum metabolic improvement and maintaining patient comfort, that is the central focus in all of these ongoing studies right now.
All right, let's wrap up with Section 6, FDA status and future, where we stand in 2026.
We need to take a second and ground all this online hype in reality. The simple fact is this. As of 2026, Retatutride is not fully FDA approved for commercial prescription use in the United States. It remains strictly under clinical investigation. So your doctor cannot commercially prescribe FDA-approved Retatutride, and pharmacies cannot legally sell it to you as a branded product yet. Right now, researchers are still hard at work, evaluating its long-term safety, its cardiovascular impacts, and those definitive weight loss outcomes in the phase 3 trials. Which leaves us with one final big question. Mounjaro is already a historic breakthrough for sure, but with its triple hormone targeting and astonishing early data, is Retatutride the next evolutionary step in obesity medicine? If these phase 3 trials end up confirming its safety and long-term efficacy, we might literally be witnessing the dawn of the most powerful metabolic therapy ever created. So, what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Remember to hit subscribe, drop a like on the video, and if you want to become a true expert on this stuff, don't forget to grab my complete peptide guide for just $19.90 using the link in the description. See you in the next one.